What's good, y'all? I want to give you a quick tip on something you might want to try when you are either preparing for your own case or you're going through your own case. And you can use this in any other situation as well too. But I just want to give you some strategy, maybe a workflow, maybe just an idea you might want to think about in terms of litigating your case, right? And so let me share my browser and show you all what I mean. So, when it comes to gathering raw information, or you can call it the receipts, the raw data, the context, in the most simplistic way to say this, I believe in 2026 and beyond that most communication that you're going to gather that's going to be imperative to your situation in terms, especially more than anything when it comes to like the custody portion of things, is going to be the text messages. And I believe that text messages are going to be the number one communication tool when it comes to, or you could say currently is the number one communication tool, besides when the courts try to order you to use some kind of third party tool. But it's the number one communication tool between two parents who are in a conflict, who don't agree with each other, right? And I believe that you're not going to be typically calling the other parent. I don't think you're going to be calling the other parent. Like, I don't think it at all. I don't think the other parent's going to be calling you for the, unless it's an emergency scenario. And when I say conflict, I'm saying you don't agree. Now, if you are co-parenting in a cooperative way, that's different, and you're used to calling each other. That's different because you're not worried about receipts for the judge and the magistrate, right? And the reason why I say that is because if you're calling someone, it's a different situation in terms of being able to easily have a text form of the conversation or a recording of the conversation. You have to do something else to create the recording. Whereas a text message, you automatically have the thread. So, what I didn't know during my case, during my custody case to be specific, and for those of y'all who are watching me for the first time, my name is Maestro Stevens, and I started my family court, we'll say, journey in 2022. And since then, well, my daughter was born in 2022, so I started my pre-family court journey, but I'm calling it family court journey because it was always leading to this in the first place. And this is my first child, and so I filed for paternity in 2023 for officially filing for paternity because I wasn't on the birth certificate, and I did that so I can establish, because in Ohio, in order for you to establish any kind of parenting time ordered by the court and not the mother, you have to go through paternity, and then you have to file for some kind of shared parenting or visitation time, right? You have to go through that process, or else if you try to do anything else as a father, you are creating a criminal no for yourself, right? Now it's turning to criminal that they can use for the family court stuff, right? Text messages are key. I think you already know that by now. I think so. And the main thing that most people don't know is, yes, text messages are the key, but how you admit those text messages makes a huge difference. So what you see here is a PDF file of those text messages. How you admit them is, I should say, submit and admit them, but I'm saying admit it as evidence because they'll allow you to submit a lot on the docket, right? The basically like the filing system that the courts use when it comes to getting your paperwork on their stuff. Normally, they will, they'll accept that. You have to go through their formality in order to get accepted, but you'll get accepted, and that's one level of the entire process. That's one level of the entire process. Just because you got it accepted on the docket does not mean it's going to get admitted as evidence, meaning put on the official record during the proceeding. That's a different scenario. I made the mistake of not having my text messages properly prepared. I didn't know better. This is my first hearing, and I'm by myself, right? So I didn't know that that's what you had to do. I took screenshots, and I'm here to tell you that that's probably not a good idea. I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice, but that's probably not the best idea to take screenshots. I thought it was. So if you're watching this, good. I would say you've got some good advice right now, because I didn't really have this advice, and I got good advice on a lot of things, but this was one of the things that I didn't get. I didn't really see anybody share it like this. So hopefully you can learn something from this. There's a program that I didn't know about. I'm not sure if the mother's attorney used this program or another program, but I do know she used the program. When I was sent the discovery, and that's where you share the exhibits, right? When I was sent the discovery, I was sent a PDF file, something like this. And there was a big PDF file, right, of the history. I was screenshotting and sending that in as PDF. It's like taking screenshots, putting it on a PDF, a couple pages long, and then sending that in. That was not what the best idea. Well, that's not what you should do, right? If you are looking to have the best optimal outcome to be able to get your stuff sent in, you want to use some kind of program or platform or company to get your text message out. But I don't think you got to use any of that. So again, not legal advice, do what you want to do, but this is what I did. And this is exactly what I saw. When I saw her document, it looked like this. And I was like, oh, that's what she did. And it was this program called iMazing. And I'm sure that there is an Android version of this. So this is for Apple, right? There's an Android version of this. And for iMazing, it gives you the ability to back up your Apple devices, but not just back up your Apple devices, okay? It also gives you the ability to download, right? Export. And so you can export your text messages. And when you export your text messages, you get to add metadata and contact details to those messages. So therefore, it will look something, let's open this up real quick, like this. And so you'll have, if I had the contact details on this one, I purposely left it off, so that way it wouldn't show the number. But if I had the contact details, you would see the name right here, the name and the number. And then you see all this wonderful detail. Excuse me. That's a part of like the metadata. Basically, that's a part of very important information that helps you authenticate it. So that way there's time and there's dates. That's key. You want time and you want dates, and then you want the phone number, right? Because that you have to prove that this is this person's phone, right? This is their phone number. They text you from their phone, from this phone number, and this thread here is between you and them. It's a lot easier for you to do that when you have their name, their contact details, and a date. On this date, do you see the date here? On this date, is this your number? You have to ask questions so that way you can lay that foundation and authenticate. And then when you have this other metadata like this, it says where it came from. So not only what is it, but where did it come from? How can we prove it came from where it came from? Here we go. It's time-stamped on there. You see that? So these are key things that I didn't know that I'm hoping someone learns from this, because when it came to admitting my evidence, I did not do the best job, and it was just pure ignorance. I didn't know better. I prepared a lot of other things well. I did a pretty solid job at preserving my objections, my right to appeal, by basically not just giving in to their demands, even though on the surface level it looks bad. But then when you look at the totality of things, you're like, oh, it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. But on the surface level, and that's a key thing, the courts try to look at surface level stuff when it's convenient and go deep when it's convenient, right? And they try to avoid doing the opposite when it's not convenient. So when it's not convenient, they don't want to look at the surface level stuff. When it's not convenient, they don't want to look at the deep stuff. Well, the text messages, this is how I look at it metaphorically speaking. The text messages, that's going deep. That's not the why, that's going deep. because that's the history and it's unaltered. It's raw, right? No matter who said what, who said it when, it's there. It's there. And when you're able to synthesize it in totality, what's the real outcome? What is the real picture? Not what happened during this month, what happened during this time, what happened, and I'm only referring to if it's a scenario where it's a conflict between the parties and one party is alleging something that the other party is or isn't doing or did or didn't do, and that party can't substantiate the allegations, right? They can't substantiate the allegations. That's what I'm referring to. That's what I'm referring to. When you are being accused of something, right? And I'm saying to fathers, when you're being accused of something and they're trying to use the silver bullet tactic and you didn't do the thing that they said that you're being accused of, or they can't prove it, text messages and do it the way I tell you. A program will help you extract that information so that way you have the whole picture. That's way better to use when you're trying to admit something as evidence. I'm telling you, it makes a huge difference. I didn't have it. Then when you pair that with a strong AI tool and an AI model, and you use the best model available in that tool, you have two huge resources at your disposal that give you leverage, right? Especially if your position is authentic and true, and you are who you say you are, or you didn't do or did do what you say you did or you didn't do. I'm not talking about small little things that they're going to try to nitpick. I'm talking about stuff that really matters in terms of harm to the child, in terms of the actual best interest of the child, and not the way that they try to paint the best interest of the child, which means their financial interest. That's what it really means to them. Text messages. I use a strong AI model. And when using a strong AI model, you want to ask it questions that don't steer it in a way that showcase your position, that showcase your feelings, that showcase your thought process. No, that's not what you want to do. You want to ask it questions, especially in the beginning, that give it a ultimatum. It's this or it's that. It's A or it's B. That's the same way I believe that when kids are real young, you should give them ultimatums so they can have a choice, but don't be giving them open options and stuff. Hey, what do you want for breakfast? Because I'm telling you, they'll say anything. You know what I'm saying? Oatmeal cereal, pancakes, waffles. We getting a choice here. We got to make one. Ain't no in the middle. That's how I believe in things. But obviously, I know there's gray area. But in this case, I'm telling you, you can't think of it that way. In life, I get the gray area. I get that. Here, you cannot think of it that way. That will get you messed up in the court. I'm telling you, it'll get you trapped up. They'll try to pull that. You can't pull that. You need black or white. With that being said, this document was 457 pages. And I love that Opus 4.6 right now at the time of this video said it directly. This is 457 pages. It counted all the pages. That lets me know as the user using it that it's seeing the totality of things. Why is that important? Because do you think a magistrate or a judge is going to look at 457 pages of 5 years, 10 years, 1,000 pages for some of you out there? You know what I'm saying? Maybe 200 pages, maybe 10 pages. I don't know. No, they're not going to do that. And what you need to understand is even if they bring in a person like a referee or a guardian ad litem, the guardian ad litem most likely, especially if you're the father, the guardian ad litem is most likely not going to read or take in. If you gave that to them and said, hey, this is what happened, they're not going to read that or take that in. But you're like, hey, this is all the information. This is the raw data, so you can see the whole picture, and I don't make anything up, and the mother doesn't make anything up. You get the whole one. Nope, they don't want that. How interesting is that? That they don't want that. And the reason why I'm challenging that thought process for those of you all who want to challenge my challenge of the thought process, and that's okay, because when you throw this sucker into AI, it synthesizes everything. I believe that's what should be happening on every case. That the magistrate, the judge, whoever it is ruling, whoever it is at the helm of the situation, they should be synthesizing everything correctly. But in the system, they have ways you have to submit and omit and the rules of evidence and all these other things, and they do it for a reason. And I can't speak for nobody else in the game. I can't speak for nobody else in the game. I'm speaking for me. I 100% believe it was designed intentionally to be confusing, to be illogical at times, to be more profitable, to have a barrier to entry, to have a way in and a way out. You can interpret it, you can like, and not to be something that's just straight up, hey, it's on or off. Come on. And from case to case, we'll take those situations where we need to, but for the most part, and the AI is able to synthesize the entire picture, okay? So I asked the AI, please review the text message history and let me know if mother's position is justified or if is manipulation tactics, or is this manipulation tactics? Is it binary or is it one or the other? You know what I'm saying? It's binary. It's either one or the other. And I wanted an answer on that. I did it here. I also did it in another chat. I opened up another incognito window in Claude, and the reason why it's incognito is because I don't want any bias. I don't want any of the memory of my usage of the platform when I use my account, generally speaking. Right now, I didn't want any of that memory leaking into it because it might be biased. It might steer it away. I didn't want none of that. Incognito. I asked a similar question, but I put a little bit more emphasis on the different, we'll say the different options, the different left and the different right. I added more weight to the left and right. I want you to review this history of text messages. I want you to tell me, does the mother seem as if she's genuinely and authentically being protective of the child and has justification for that? Or does the mother seem like she's striving to control the child, the situation, and the narrative? Does she seem to manipulate and contradict herself often, or does she seem to honor her word? Does she seem to have real, genuine intentions? Does she seem to want the child to have an autonomous, healthy, meaningful, and consistent relationship with the father? The answer is binary. It's one or the other. There is no gray area. I only added the text messages, and this is what you all might want to try to do too, depending where you're at. Add things in layers and kind of see how the AI starts to build its narrative, because that helps you kind of understand how the magistrates or the referees might see it. And I'm only saying this, might see it in terms of like where your cracks are, right? Might see it in terms of why the mother is justified or why she might have a reason why. You want it to give you that feedback because it helps you prepare. It helps you prepare your counters, right? So start off with just general stuff. Give it the text messages. I did. And what I love about Claude is Claude tells it like it is. It tells it like it is. So Claude said, let's see, boom, 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 it's manipulation tactics. Claude tells it like it is. And then it explains why. The gatekeeping, what the record shows, the weaponizing stress and anxiety, you guys already know. Then trying to use allegations of alcohol use that never was tied to alcohol. Come on, you guys know the tech. Okay, so boom, that's that. Let's see what it said here. The mother is striving to control the child, the situation, and the narrative. The evidence across 5 years of messages is overwhelmingly and consistent. Boom. There you go. So that's what I want to share with you all. Some of you all are doing this with ChatGPT, and I think that that's a good secondary tool to use for this because it helps give you a second opinion. And then what you do is you give one answer to the other AI tool and you say, review this. And you stack them on top of each other, right? You want to keep doing that. This is temporary chat. You want to do the same thing with temporary chat. I'm not going to do it now, but just give you, that thought process. And you'll learn how the brains behind these AIs, are they more status quo? Are they more default mother? Are they more fair? Are they more, no, I'm going to tell you like it is. If you messed up, you messed up. If she messed up, she messed up. Or is it going to give you something different? That's something that I want you to think about in your process, when you're doing what you're doing. I'm not telling you to rely on the AI. That's not what I'm telling you. But I'm also not going to tell you not to use the AI. I would be stupid to tell you not to use the AI. I use it. They're using it. And you should use it too. When I say don't rely on it, I mean challenge it. I mean learn some of the laws. Learn some of the rules, learn some of the case laws. I mean, show up to the hearings. I mean, file some motions, right? Because the AI can help you draft the motions and then you just double check it and you edit it. All those things are what you need to be doing now because the court system is behind in terms of the system, and their technology when it comes to you as a father representing yourself pro se, right? Somehow the computers are always slow. The magistrates didn't see the stuff on the record. It takes 3 or 4 days for stuff to transfer, even though that's BS. Because I know for a fact those human beings working in these places, when it comes to their everyday lives, doing their everyday things, that they be wanting instant. They have instant oatmeal, instant cereal, instant coffee, instant TV that pop. They be having stuff that works instantly, that moves fast, right? When they turn on their car, it'll take 10 minutes, but yet in the court system is where they try to justify, oh, you know, the court, it's slow, and the magistrate and the judge and the dates and this, but I guarantee you if that was pulled on them for the most part in their daily lives, they have attitudes. They get anger. They don't go, oh, I understand because I work in the family court system. No. So that's what I call BS when it comes to that stuff. Use the AI to your advantage. And if you didn't know, I'm going to give you one last tip. Claude, even though some of y'all have your feelings about, you know, because of the political situation around them happening right now in the PR, right? You can feel how you want to feel about that. I'm not going to tell you how you're going to feel. I'm going to keep using it, right? But what I'm going to tell you right now is Claude is so good. That's one reason why it's so good that's happening right now, because you probably didn't even hear of Claude until it happened. Right? You know what I'm saying? That's how good it is, that they're basically, the government is basically saying, we want to use you, but we don't want you to tell us what to do, how to use you. You know what I'm saying? Again, I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong. What I'm saying is that that's what the story is. Like, they want to use it, or else they wouldn't be huffing and puffing. That's how good the model is. It's that good. And it's so good for law that Thomas Reuters and Westlaw, they use it as the model underneath their tools. That is for lawyers and attorney firms. So if you're not using the best of the best, and you think you're gonna go up against the lawyers that are already gatekeeping and had the keys to litigation and all that other kind of stuff, and you're not using this stuff, you might be already behind. I'm trying to tell you. Because no, they're not all using it, but a lot of them are starting to use it. Now, the thing is, what they don't have that you have at your strength, right? This is your strength and their weakness. This is where you're strong at and they're weak at, no matter what they have, what credentials they have, what tools they have. Nobody knows your case better than you. You have the facts. They have what the other party is telling them. The text messages are the facts. Other facts are things like, and I'm not going to go through all of this stuff, but what I typically do is I will give the custody transcript. So I have the transcript here. I could toss in the transcript and say, hey, look at the transcript here. I got the child support, my appellate brief. So I'm in the appeals process right now. And I'm not going to do it again. I'm not going to do it right now because I don't want this video to be too long, because I've already tried this like 4 or 5 times and I've made like hour-long videos. I'm like, no, I got to cut it underneath 30 minutes, all right? So in order to do that, I can't throw all this stuff in here. But I will do it in another video. And if you do want me to throw more of this stuff in here and then show y'all some more strategies and some more moves you can do, you know, things you can make. Again, I'm not a lawyer. It's not legal advice, but just sharing you what I've done already. Let me know in the comments. Like, let me know what you think about this stuff. Like, especially let me know how long you've been fighting for, and is there anything that you've done specifically that really helps your case? And all of our cases are different, right? We all have nuances. There's some similarities, but we all have different stuff. Let's keep it all the way real. But there's some things across the board that translate universally, that we're like, yep, that something like that happened to me. Yep, they tried that too. Your details might be a little different, right? But what they tried and how they try to move on you is the same. And the number one thing I can tell you that they do, that we all complain about, and this is where you have to file to prove what they've done. It's the due process violation. It usually all comes down to that. They cheat. If you're a father who has no history of X, Y, and Z or this or that, or maybe you did have a history of something, but that got taken care of, so that's no longer a problem, they're gonna try to cheat. They're gonna try to cheat because they can't win fair. They don't know how to win fairly. So they have to, I call it cheating. I don't care what you call it. You call it whatever you want to call it. I call it cheating. But just because I call it cheating doesn't mean I'm playing victim, and I'm not going to say you need to play victim too. You need to learn these laws, learn these rules, learn the game, and learn how to use the tools. And I'm telling you, that's going to make a huge difference. And even if you don't win the first time, in the first round in lower courts, you have a higher chance of winning in the upper courts, right? The next level, the appellate court, not the top level, but the next level, the appellate court, because you did what you preserved your right to appeal. And there's many ways to do that. The main way is to properly object, but you preserve your right to appeal. And now the courts have to look at what went wrong. What errors happened? Well, one of the biggest errors is due process violation. Well, how? They did this. Oh, okay. Well, that's how you gotta look at it. If you don't look at it that way, you're already gonna lose. Because a lot of men don't win on the first round, especially when the mother is alleging something and she's pulling the silver bullet tactic, saying that she's alleging domestic violence, she's alleging some kind of abuse, whether it's alcohol, harm to the child, drug abuse, whatever the case is something, she's alleging something. That's when the courts, they love that the most. That's an easy win for them. Because then they can start ordering things and make you jump through hoops. That's what they do. And if you don't jump through the hoops, they can use that as non-compliant. And when you're found non-compliant, not when you're found guilty of doing something wrong, when you're found non-compliant, denial of whatever you asked for because you're not compliant. That's the game, y'all. That's the game. So yeah, man, if you got any questions, let me know. Where my horn at? Hopefully somebody learned something in this one, man. I know it can get a little deep. I know it can be a little boring. I'm striving to add a little bit of entertainment to it, you know what I'm saying? Even though it's not funny, but it is funny. It's a joke that they try to treat you like a joke. I'm striving to add my own situation with it and mix it with some technicality, so that way you don't think that it's just me crying or whining or, you know, trying to be out here saying something that is not. And that's not at all what the situation is. What I am saying though is you gotta fight. Yeah. And you gotta be willing to fight for a while. You might have to fight all 18 years, whatever it is. But you gotta fight. I hate that it has to be that way. I didn't choose for it to be a fight, but it's literally they call it custody battles. That's what the street code, the street name lingo with. There's a reason they call it battle. It's not custody time. You know what I'm saying? You're not going through, it's not just custody hearing, it's a battle. It's a battle. And the reason why is because it's built on a $1 billion, basically $1 trillion business. It's $1 trillion at this point. I think it's $1 trillion. It's all profit. We're products of the system. Literally, you have a case number assigned to you, just like a social security number. And when you get into that courtroom, they talk like you're literally a product. Like they talk like especially if you're a father, like you're money to them. And without conflict, they make no profit. If there's no argument, if we're not going to the courts, how they gonna make money? How they gonna get reimbursed for every dollar they collect on the child support? Because, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, the game is the game. Game is game. Are you going to play the game or not? I'm not saying you should. I'm not saying you shouldn't. But if you're going to play it, do it smart. DJ Khaled that joint. And do it with AI, do it with tools, and make sure you're collecting your documents. Make sure you're documenting, and make sure you're giving the AI the documents that it needs. Make sure you're using the paid version so you can get the best model. And then don't forget to turn off the training data, right? Even though they might be training, but that's a different topic for another day. But for the most part, Anthropic, they're pretty, even though they get on my nerves when it comes to their interface and other things. Oh, they get on my nerves because they're so stingy with their tokens and usage. But it's because it's the best model. Like I hate to say it, like it's like Anthropic. You think you're the Apple of AI, and in one way it's like you ain't the Apple of AI, but another way it's like it is the best model though. I mean, there's a reason why the government wants full usage over it. There's a reason why they went full blast worldwide public when nobody knew about them besides a handful of tech nerds like myself, and now there's a reason. And most of my motions I wrote with this model right here. I use the other models to help review what I wrote here, but I wrote most of it with this tool and then opened it in Word and then did my corrections and things like that. But I drafted it with here. All right, y'all. We gonna get it. We gonna get it. We gonna get it. Hopefully, somebody learned something, man. Hopefully, somebody learned something with this one. But I appreciate y'all. I'm gonna keep dropping more videos, more heat. I'm gonna do some reaction videos as well too. You know, I want to do some reaction, some trials, and just reaction of some podcasts. I'm not gonna do a lot of those because I know other YouTube videos out there really hit those hard, and that's for that. I really want to hit y'all with what I do best, which is this technology stuff, this strategy stuff, this analytical stuff, and then mixing that with maybe how you could use some of that to your advantage for your situation. I don't just want to talk about, you know, relationships and you know the typical talking points in today's climate, which I'm trust me, I'm gonna throw a little bit of that in there too now. We gonna throw some of that in there too now. But this ain't for complaining. This ain't for complaining. This is not what that's for. But we also, who knows? I mean, I want to have some guests up. We're gonna have some guests. Might have I'm not sure of a panel, maybe a guest on this channel as well too. I'm gonna try some different things, but for the most part, outside of trying different things, the main focus is going to be educating y'all and sharing y'all actual evidence and actual things that I'm doing, like actual real life things that I'm doing, not theoretical stuff that, hey, you might want to try this thing because I heard this over here, over there. That's not what we doing over here at Prego. So hopefully, y'all keep rocking with me. All right. If you haven't already liked the channel or like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll holler at you next time. My name is Maestro Stevens with Prego. Lego the Prego. Peace.